I used to hold on to a hairstyle for 12 years because I was scared of what a change might say about me. Every single day, the mirror was quietly working against me, and I didn't even know it. Today I'm breaking down 5 hairstyles that are aging women over 50 without them realizing it, and exactly what to ask for instead. I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and the best fixes for women over 50 so you get real results fast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every single week. Part 1. The length that's quietly dragging you down. Here's something almost nobody tells women in their 60s. Hair past the shoulders doesn't read as youthful past a certain point. It actually pulls the whole face downward. The weight of long, straight hair drags at the temples and the jawline, and the eye follows that line straight down. It's not the gray. It's not the wrinkles. It's the length working against gravity that's already working against you. I know how that lands because I felt it too. There's a version of you that's been wearing this same length since your 30s or 40s, and some part of you feels like cutting it means giving something up. Rosalind told me the exact same thing in her kitchen last spring. She kept saying, "My hair is the one thing about me that hasn't changed." But that was the problem. Everything else on her had softened and evolved, and her hairstyle just sat there, frozen, pulling harder every year. The fix is a shoulder grazing shag with soft layers starting at the cheekbone. Not a blunt cut, not a straight line, layers that move. Here's exactly what to tell your stylist. Ask for face framing layers that hit right at the cheekbone, with the ends left slightly textured rather than blunt cut, and length that sits just at or slightly above the shoulder, never past it. Why this specific length works is about physics as much as style. When hair stops at or just above the shoulder, it can't pull downward on the jawline the way longer hair does. Instead, the layers lift and lighten around the face, and light catches the movement instead of getting swallowed in one heavy sheet. Your bone structure gets to do its job again, instead of being buried under weight. Here's the part that actually surprised Rosalind. 2 weeks after her cut, she told me a woman at her book club asked what she'd changed, because she looked more rested. Nothing about her sleep had changed. It was the weight coming off her face. That's the snapback most women don't expect. It's not that people say you look younger, it's that they say you look less tired, more awake, more present, and that's a far more powerful compliment because it feels true. There's a detail most stylists won't volunteer unless you ask. The layers need to be cut dry, not wet, because fine or thinning hair behaves completely differently once it's dry, and a wet cut on hair like this can leave you with layers that look uneven the second it air dries. Ask for a dry cut, or at minimum a dry check and adjustment at the end. There's also a maintenance truth nobody mentions up front. This cut needs a trim every 8 to 10 weeks, not because the length grows out fast, but because the face framing pieces lose their shape and start dragging again exactly the way the original problem started. Skip that window and you'll slowly drift right back into the same heavy, pull-down look you just fixed. Set a reminder. This is the one hair appointment that actually protects the result you paid for. Before, Rosalind wore hair past her shoulders in one heavy, straight sheet that pulled her whole face down and made her look tired even on good days. After, she wears a shoulder grazing shag with cheekbone-length layers that lift around her face and catch the light. Same woman, same bone structure, completely different first impression. But length isn't the only thing quietly working against you. There's a color mistake almost every woman over 50 is making right now, and it's not the one you'd guess. Part 2. The color choice that's fighting your skin. Here's the part nobody warns you about when your hair starts turning gray. Most women don't go lighter to soften the transition. They go darker, trying to hold on to the hair color they had at 35. And that instinct, as understandable as it is exactly backwards. Skin loses warmth and pigment as we age, and flat, dark hair color sits against paler, cooler skin like a hard frame, making every shadow and line on the face red more sharply than it actually is. Colette came to me convinced her hair was simply going gray unevenly, patchy in places, dull everywhere else. What she didn't realize was that she'd been covering it with the exact same all-over dark brown for 6 years running. The same box color, the same flat single tone. It wasn't the gray making her look older. It was the flat darkness sitting on top of it, with zero dimension to soften the contrast against her skin. The fix is a lived-in multi-tonal color that blends gray in rather than covering it completely. Ask your colorist for this exact phrase: low-maintenance dimensional color with soft face-framing highlights. Blending natural gray at the root rather than a solid all-over base. This isn't about going lighter across the board. It's about breaking up one flat tone into several soft, believable ones that move with the light the way natural hair actually does. The mechanism here matters. Flat single-process color absorbs light instead of reflecting it, so it reads as one dense block, and blocks of dark color draw the eye directly to whatever is nearby, usually the lines around the eyes and mouth. Multitonal color, on the other hand, scatters light across dozens of subtle variations, so the eye moves across the hair instead of locking onto one spot on the face. It's the same reason a textured sweater looks more forgiving in a photo than a flat one. Here's the moment that actually got Colette. 6 weeks after her color appointment, her daughter-in-law asked if she'd started wearing a new foundation, because her whole face looked brighter. She hadn't changed a single thing about her makeup. That's what dimensional color does that flat color never can. It lifts the whole face by softening what surrounds it, without a single product change. One thing worth knowing before you book this: blending gray in this way usually takes 2 sessions rather than 1, especially if you're coming from years of solid dark color. Your colorist needs to lift the existing pigment gradually to avoid brassiness, then layer the soft tones on top. Don't panic if the first session looks transitional. Ask specifically what the plan is for session 2, and don't judge the result until that second appointment is done. There's also a home care shift that protects this color longer than anything else you'll do. Flat dark box color fades evenly and boringly, but dimensional color needs a purple or blue tone shampoo once a week to keep the cooler tones from turning brassy, especially if you're near hard water. Skip this and the soft blend you just paid for can shift warm and muddy within a month, right back toward the flat look you were trying to leave behind. Before, Colette wore flat, solid dark brown that sat heavy against her skin and sharpened every line on her face. After, she wears soft multitonal color that blends her natural gray and scatters light instead of absorbing it. The difference isn't the color itself, it's what the color does to everything around it. Now, if you think color is the biggest culprit here, wait until you hear what a stylist told me about bangs. This one surprised even me. Part 3. The fringe that's sending the wrong signal. A stylist friend of mine put it to me this way: blunt, heavy, straight across bangs cut right at the eyebrow are one of the fastest ways to age a mature face. And it's not because bangs themselves are the problem. It's the abruptness. A hard, straight line across the forehead creates a sharp shadow line that sits right above the eyes. And that shadow draws attention directly to exactly the area most women are trying to soften. Diane had worn the same blunt fringe for as long as I'd known her. She told me she liked it because it was simple, wash and go, no thinking required. But every photo from the last few years showed the same thing: a flat dark line sitting heavy across her forehead, making her eyes look smaller and her whole expression look more severe than she actually is in person. She wasn't aware of it until I put 2 photos side by side, one from a decade ago and one recent. The bang line hadn't moved an inch in 10 years, but everything else about her face had softened, and the contrast was jarring. The fix is a soft, side-swept curtain fringe that starts further back from the hairline and tapers longer at the outer edges. Tell your stylist this exact phrase: a curtain fringe parted at the center, cut longer at the outer corners than the center point, with the shortest piece falling just above the brow bone rather than straight across it. This isn't a small tweak, it changes the entire geometry of how light falls across your forehead. Here's why this specific shape works where a blunt line fails. A tapered, side-swept fringe creates a soft diagonal instead of a hard horizontal, and diagonals read as gentler to the eye than straight lines. That's simply how we process shape. The longer pieces at the outer edges also blend into the rest of the hair instead of stopping abruptly, so there's no visible seam, no hard line, nothing for the eye to catch on and stop at. Diane's snapback moment happened almost immediately. The same week as her cut, her sister called just to ask if she'd had something done to her eyes, because they looked bigger and brighter. Nothing had touched her eyes at all. That's the real mechanism behind this fix. Softening the frame around the eyes changes how the eyes themselves are perceived, without a single thing changing about the eyes. There's a styling detail worth knowing before your appointment. This fringe shape needs to be dried with a round brush, pulling the pieces slightly back and to the side, not straight down. Or it can fall flat and lose the soft diagonal shape it was cut for. If your stylist doesn't show you this step in the chair, ask them to walk you through it before you leave, because it's the difference between this fringe looking soft every day and looking accidentally blunt again within a week. One more thing that matters here. This fringe grows out differently than a blunt one, softer and less noticeable at first, but it still needs a check-in every 4 to 5 weeks, shorter than a typical trim cycle, because the shortest pieces near the part are the first to lose their shape and drift back toward that heavier, flatter look. Before, Diane wore a blunt, straight-across fringe that sat heavy above her eyes and cast a hard shadow line across her forehead. After, she wears a soft, side-swept curtain fringe that tapers gently and opens her whole face up. The eyes didn't change. Everything around them did. Bangs were surprising enough, but the next mistake is one almost every woman does to herself at home, between salon visits, without realizing it's undoing everything else. Part 4. The everyday habit undoing your cut. Here's the one nobody expects. It's not a cut, it's not a color, it's how the hair gets dried every single morning. Air drying or rough, careless blow drying on fine or thinning hair over 50 doesn't just look a little flat. It actually causes the hair to fall in a way that exposes more scalp along the part line. And that visible scalp is one of the strongest visual cues our brain reads as older, faster than almost anything else on the head. Marguerite had a beautiful cut. I want to be clear about that, because when she first messaged me she assumed the problem was the haircut itself, and was ready to book another appointment to fix it. But the real issue showed up in photos taken at different times of day, cut looking full and soft in the morning, then flat and see-through by early afternoon. The cut wasn't failing. The drying method was undoing the cut shape within a few hours, every single day, without her ever connecting the two. The fix is drying hair upside down at the roots first, using a round brush lifting directly at the crown, before ever touching the length. Here's the exact method to use. Flip your head forward, direct warm air at the roots only for the first 2 minutes, lifting sections with your fingers as you go, then flip back upright and finish the length and ends on a cooler setting. This single change in order, roots before length, upside down before upright, is what actually builds lasting volume instead of surface volume that collapses within the hour. The reason this works is about how hair dries and holds its shape. Hair sets in whatever position it's in as it dries, so if you dry it lying flat against the scalp, that's the shape it holds for the rest of the day. Drying it lifted and upside down first trains the roots to dry in a raised position. And once that position sets, gravity has a much harder time flattening it back down, even hours later. The result surprised Marguerite more than anything else we'd tried. Her husband, who almost never comments on hair, asked her one evening if she'd had something done, because it looked fuller than it had in years. She hadn't touched a product differently or changed her cut at all. It was purely the order and direction of the drying, nothing else. There's a product detail that makes this method work even better. A lightweight root lifting mousse, worked only into the roots while hair is still damp, gives the round brush something to grip and hold onto as it dries. Skip product entirely and this method still helps, but adding that root-only mousse is what turns good volume into volume that survives the whole day, not just the first hour after drying. One caution worth knowing. This method needs genuinely warm, not scorching, heat at the roots, because fine hair over 50 is more fragile and heat damage prone than it was decades ago. If your dryer only has one blistering setting, hold it slightly further from the scalp rather than turning up the heat to compensate. The lift comes from direction and technique, not from more heat. Before, Marguerite's beautiful cut fell flat by early afternoon, visible scalp showing along the part as the day wore on. After, the same cut holds real lift at the crown from morning until evening, simply because of how it's dried. The haircut was never the problem. The routine around it was. There's one hairstyle left, and it's the one I get asked about more than any other. It's not about length, color, or bangs. It's about how the whole style sits on the head, and it's quietly the most common mistake on this entire list. Part 5. The style that's fighting your face shape. Here's the mistake almost everyone assumes is a personal preference, when it's actually a face shape mismatch that's been quietly working against them for years. Wearing the same overall silhouette, height, and shape of hairstyle regardless of how your face has changed over decades. Faces soften, cheeks lose some volume, jawlines shift, And a hairstyle that flattered a face shape at 40 can genuinely fight against that same face at 65, even though nothing about the cut or color changed. I met a woman at one of my talks last year, a stranger really, who told me something that stuck with me. She'd worn the same rounded, chin-length bob since her wedding day, more than 30 years, because it was what she was told suited her once, and she'd simply never questioned it since. She wasn't wrong 30 years ago, but her face had softened and narrowed slightly with age the way most faces do, and that same rounded shape that once balanced her features was now adding width exactly where her face had lost some of its own. The fix here isn't a single specific cut, it's a diagnostic approach, and it's the most valuable thing in this entire video. Ask your stylist this exact question before any scissors touch your hair. Given how my face shape may have shifted over the last 10 to 15 years, does this style still add width or length where I actually need it? Or is it working from an old assumption about my face? A good stylist will physically assess your current bone structure, not simply repeat whatever style you walked in asking for. The mechanism behind this is about proportion, not fashion. Every hairstyle either adds visual width, adds visual length, or does neither, depending on where the volume and shape sit relative to the widest and narrowest points of your face. As faces soften with age, most benefit from a style that adds gentle height at the crown and some length along the jaw, rather than width at the sides, because added side width now reads as heaviness rather than balance the way it might have decades earlier. Her result, once she finally changed it, was the same story I hear over and over. Not one comment about looking younger. Instead, 3 separate people told her she looked lighter, or that her whole face seemed more open. That's the real tell that a fix is working, when people can't quite name what changed, but they feel the difference in how they see you. There's a practical way to test this yourself before your next appointment. Pull your current hair back completely, off your face, and look at your bare face shape in good light. Then look at a recent photo of yourself with your current hairstyle. If the hairstyle looks noticeably wider or rounder than your actual current bone structure, that's your sign the style is working from an outdated map of your face, rather than the one you have now. This is worth revisiting more often than people think, roughly every 2 to 3 years, not because your stylist did anything wrong, but because faces genuinely continue to shift gradually through our 60s and 70s, and a style that's correct today may quietly drift out of proportion again without any dramatic change ever happening in a single appointment. Before, she wore a wide, rounded chin-length bob chosen for a face shape she no longer had. After, she wears a style with height at the crown and length along the jaw that matches her current bone structure. The style itself wasn't the mistake 3 decades ago. Never updating it was. That's all 5, and if you've been nodding along recognizing even one of these in the mirror, you already know exactly where to start. You now know the 5 hairstyle habits quietly aging women over 50, the dragging length, the flat dark color, the blunt fringe, the flattening dry routine, and the outdated face shape match, and more importantly, you know exactly what to say in the chair to fix every single one of them. That's not a small thing. That's the difference between hoping a stylist gets it right and walking in already knowing exactly what you need. Tell me in the comments, which of these 5 did you recognize in yourself, and which one are you booking first? I read every single comment, and I want to know exactly where to start next. Next week I'm covering the skincare habits doing the same quiet damage, so you'll want to be here for that one too. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.